Welcome everyone to another Discord live class. My name is Goro Fujita and I'm gonna work on some ideas that were suggested in the thread for today's session. So let's dive right in. All right, so the question was, I forget who asked it, but animating rough rigs and exchanging them with more detailed rigs later. That's fairly easy to do. I usually already animate with final characters now because it actually doesn't make a difference, right? But if you don't have time to work on a character first and want to do like a rough animation test first, you can easily do that with rigs. So I'm gonna show like an approach I would do for that. Then another question was to do the timing sketch. So if you want to do like a rough timing before animating the actual character, I'm going to try to show some techniques that I use for that. I also don't use it as often anymore, but for certain animations, it's good to have the timing sketch. And then there was a specific question about how I did the leash animation on my Inktober piece Not. And I'm going to recreate that scene today, applying all these aspects here that I have in the notes. So let's start with the environment first, though, because I also want to incorporate the weekly prompt topic particles. So I'm gonna create an environment that will have some particles. So as usual, I create like a rough patch of like brush strokes here. I have the wireframe on so I can actually see what I'm doing. It's not the most prettiest wireframe, but it really helps me to see resolution and stuff like that. So I think I'm going to create like a little planet surface with some craters where particle bubbles come out. That might be pretty cool. So I make like an alien landscape instead of what I did in the Not piece in Inktober. And what I'm doing here is like I'm gonna bend it a little. Oops, what's going on? Do I have something selected? Yeah. So I can just get away with like adding craters here in the back, and it will look pretty cool. It will look like the surface keeps going, and then I can add more rougher geometry in the background, right? So I can do stuff like this, and I will probably put that on a new layer and call it BG, or even put it in a folder because I have more stuff in there. Call it BG, and then we have the FG foreground, right? FG. Okay, for the background elements here, I tend to have selected all visible unlocked layers on so I can switch seamlessly between the layers. So what it does is if I select strokes here, it just jumps back to this. If I select strokes here, it just jumps back to this. So I'm like, in my mind, what you don't see, but in my mind, I'm like always aware of which layer I'm working on without having to look at the layer panel, which is like really cool. So if I want to add something on this layer, I simply select something here, and then I can manipulate this layer. If I want to go back, I select something here and I manipulate this layer, right? So that's like a really useful trick I always use. I'm gonna add some variation here, and maybe we will create a crater. And maybe in the foreground layer, right? So call it crater. And of course, as usual, if you have questions, feel free to shoot in the chat and Tyler can read it out, or just shout in the live chat as well, like voice chat. You can just ask questions if you like, and I will try to answer them along the way. Okay, so I'm just thickening the bottom here, and maybe I will close off the top a little bit like this. This might be a good one. So I'm just gonna populate it. So I will have the characters here. Let me just add the characters to figure out the staging. So these are the characters. I oftentimes work non-linear like this, and also, take this as a method of doing things. Like this is by no means like a recipe that you have to follow, but what I'm gonna do is like I'm just gonna figure out the scale. So we have the alien here, and he's gonna be a rough version, so I'm not gonna spend much time on it because I might replace his limbs later. But let me just use the line tool and just create like a little alien here. And then just for staging, I'm gonna copy him because these are like walking, they're alien dogs maybe. And then we have like a little alien bird here, maybe with one eye or something like this. So I'm just putting it in so I know what I'm going to do. So there will be a leash. Let me use the line tool here, and let me just go back to this wireframe, and then this is the leash. I want the guy to stand a little bit taller, so maybe I will bring up the ground a little bit later. But I'm just figuring out the staging right now. I'm not too concerned about the characters, and I'm probably going to replace this character as well. But I'm just building up the scene, what it's going to be like, so I don't forget anything. So we will have the leashes here, and we will have the alien characters here, right? So this is going to be my set. This is looking good. Let me just turn on the wireframe again. This is pretty cool. So now I have this setup. So this is the sketch. And then I'm going to work on the crater distribution, but I will probably do just one crater fully animated, and then I'm just gonna duplicate the animated crater. So what I'm gonna do now, I go back to turning off on the subtle wireframe. Lighting, I think at this point, I want to make the lighting come from here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna light the crater a little bit. So let me just do this. Okay, this is looking good. Let me just do like a base layer with like a bunch of different colors. And I also want to actually add some structure to the ground here. I think it's a little bit too thick here. It's like maybe a red planet, something like Mars. And this is how I want to see depth. And now I can just turn this off and I can see exactly what I'm doing. And then here for this guy, I will just lift the ground a little bit so he's standing on the ground. Same thing here. This is good. I lost something here. And I might, this area with the dog, I might actually make the closer section smaller. So let me just switch the layer. I might make it more detailed like that. So I have more texture. And then I will just deform this thing. These look weird. I'm just going to bend them down. Stretch them so he's standing on the ground. And then for the platform where they're running, I'm going to keep it fairly flat. So I don't have to like animate too much of the height difference. Something like that. And then I'm going to save and keep working on the crater. So let me bring the background actually in a little bit so I can just scale it down. And at this point, I might actually also do the Skydome. So I'm going like back and forth between a lot of things, but that's usually what I do when I freestyle. I might actually do a Skydome like this. So I'm just gonna do a triangle like this, rotate it, duplicate it, and then do this. And then I lift it up with the grab tool, and this is going to be my Skydome. I can also easily use a PNG graphic, but I think for this is okay. So we do like a nice pinkish sky or red, add some pink to it, and see what it looks like. Turn off. This is looking pretty cool. And maybe we put like a very bright spot here for the sun. I can make it more fine detail, but I think this is okay. And then we're gonna put the sun here, right? It's gonna be just a ribbon brush like this. And maybe the sun can have some animation on it. So might as well do like a 12 frame cycle and nudge it a little bit. Oops. There we go. So we have a sun, moving sun, which is kind of nice. Let me just, I think I have this on the same layer. Yeah, let me do one thing. So I just select the sky in one frame because I just accidentally duplicated the sky as well. I remove it from that layer, but now it's here, right? Like still in that layer. So I'm just gonna select in all frames, select this and delete it. Now I have just the sun on this, and then I have the background on a still layer. So that's how you can basically, manage mistakes like that when you accidentally animate it too much. And then this will be the sky. And then I'm gonna rotate it. Let me just make it transparent so I can see why I'm lighting it. So I wanted the lighting direction to come from here. So this is it. So now I have that sun coming, and then I can also keep going on the background layer to paint some, paint some details. So let me just add some detail. And then on the main layer, where's the foreground layer? Oops. On the foreground layer, I can also now react to the light, right? So this side is like really lit. It's lit. You guys are so quiet. Okay, there you go. Hey, Tyler. I was like, am I by myself now?
The joke baited me out.
Oh, yeah. The dad joke. And then for the background, I might just duplicate this, do the trick, and then just colorize it, right? So let's see what that looks like. I'm not gonna be so accurate here. This is just for ideas, right? So I'm just gonna make something like this. This is good. And then on the edges, I can just fix the edges by, painting over them like this. Whatever, make it a little bit smoother so you don't see as many polygons, right? So then it looks like kind of like a rough terrain, which is kind of cool. And the new color picker sound. Do you guys hear the Quill sound, by the way?
I don't think I'm hearing it in the stream right now.
Oh, okay, because it's because I'm doing the monitor preview without the sound transmit, but that's fine. I don't need sound.
That's why you watch the recordings, even if you're at the live streams, everybody.
Exactly.
For that sick Quill sound.
Exactly. That's the only reason, right? So now we have like a basic lighting setup. I'm actually not liking what this looks like, so I want to like refine this a little bit and maybe add some more colors. So color variation, a little bit of reds, right? So they're actually in light because the sun is coming from there. So I would need to make this area a little bit brighter, and then this is looking much better. Okay, and then on the background highlight, I'm gonna make it a little bit redder as well. And maybe in the distance, I will make it go a little bit into the background color, sky color. So that will help to create some level of atmosphere. And even on the shadow version, I will add a little bit of purples, right? So now I have the setup here. Let me just quickly edit the terrain a little bit. We are like already 15, 20 minutes in, maybe. But everything is gonna start to happen really quick. So now I'm just gonna take my crater. Let me turn off the select in all layers thing. And then I'm gonna put like a very bright, I can probably just scale it down. Select the whole thing. That's actually waste. It's actually small enough. So I'm just gonna scale it down and then maybe duplicate it and really burn it out in the center. So we have like a little crater here. This is cool. Maybe make it smaller. This is good. And then I will just thicken the crater layer on top or grab tool it. thicken it to close the gaps and grab tool some areas. Just like this. Just gonna duplicate this. Quick and dirty. Okay, so now I have, I will keep this separate because I can light it differently. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna create a folder, freestyling here, and then call it creator. And then I'm just gonna do a particle layer where it's like maybe, is it bubbles coming out or solid bubbles or like non-solid bubbles? Maybe solid bubbles. I don't know. We'll see how that looks like. You know what? It might be cool if it's like non-solid bubbles. I will try, see how that looks like. You know, like I will just do something like this. Maybe there's a highlight here. And then colorize it a little bit. Make it a little bit wider. Yeah, maybe something like this. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna animate this, puppeteer this. I hit record and transform. And then I'm just going to start small and then play. Okay, so let's see. That looks pretty good. And then I want to make it maybe 2 seconds long, actually. 2 seconds or 4 seconds. Maybe 4 seconds. So let me do that again. 1, 3, 4. Okay. You see it from afar. It slows down a little bit, so let me do that again. And this is the fun part because you can just puppeteer it and see how it reacts. I start inside actually, and then let me 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, this is good enough. You know, I can also not puppeteer it and do a different technique. But what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna make it transparent at the beginning, and then when it comes out, it's going to be opaque. And then towards the end, when it reaches the top, I'm gonna make it transparent again. So transparent, boom. And then it will look pretty smooth. This looks good. Okay, now what I'm gonna do is like I'm gonna have a 4-second cycle. 4 seconds because I'm planning to do a 2-second cycle for these guys. So I want to make sure whenever I want to like merge, I will be able to merge, right? Even if I decide not to merge, it's always good to be able to divide everything into and merge everything to one layer. So the crater, I will just basically, this is the particle actually. So I have to actually make, yeah, I make a separate group out of this, so not the crater. So this one will be, so let me remove the sequence and make the sequence 4 seconds long above the bubble only, and then bake it, right? So when I bake it now and hide the group, I have the bubble here. If I turn on the show all, you can see actually the trajectory of the bubble. And now I can basically duplicate it, scale it, rotate it a little bit. I think it will be pretty forgiving in terms of like what it looks like when I rotate it. That looks pretty cool. So now it's like all moving at the same time, right? And now I have to break it up and just offset the timing by trimming it from the left. So this is the particle part, right? So weekly challenge check. So this is going to be my particle animation, and then I'm gonna play it back, see what that looks like. This looks really cool. So now I can merge them all. And now, you know, I could potentially even duplicate this and make it smaller like this, offset it, And now you see something like this. This is pretty cool. I'm wondering if more is better. You see? I actually like it with less. This is good. All right. Yep.
So now you merge them all.
Yep.
And bake them all in one layer.
Yep.
Select all.
Yep.
And do some
grab
tooling.
Yeah, I could do that.
The whole thing. So you get that kind of wobbly, kind of nice deformations.
Good idea. So,
and also the thickness tool makes it really it goes through this filter of thickening, and so that it gives it like this nice watery kind of wobbly kind of feeling. Yeah.
It's pretty cool. Okay, let's take this. Let's take this. This is awesome. And then thanks Daniel for the extra suggestion. And then I'm going to also do the inside of the lava. So this will be like at 12 seconds, and not 12 seconds, 12 frames. And then I will just use the color dodge and then just let it blink a little bit. So I'm just pressing it a few times, maybe. All right, so now we have a blink, which is nice. And then we have the inside. I'm gonna toss this bubble layer. I don't need it anymore. So now we have the crater, right? And now the crater can be, let me loop it. Let me fix this here. Loop it at 4. So I have the sequence. And then maybe we do a new layer with craters. Well, already half an hour in. Okay, talking and creating always takes much longer. But anyway, so we will just populate it with more craters. So let me just do something like this. And let me rotate them as well. And the trick here is, you vary the density of where the craters are. So that way, it looks more random. So maybe there's more over here and one more over here. You see, this looks good. Okay, let's see what that looks like. Okay, now they're moving all at the same time, right? But because because there are sequences, I can now offset the sequences, right? So that's a lot of craters. And I can merge them all later if I need to, for sharing to VR. But now you see how cool that looks, right? It's already super, a lot of variations. So let me just quickly do something here. I'm going to select by group, translate on, so I can I didn't rotate them as much, so they don't look too different. So I want to make sure that they look different from all angles. Oops, then we rotate it here, because then I can actually go ahead and also, I can also change the lighting on them, right? Because the lighting is coming from here, so I can make sure to change the lighting. So let me select this. That's the crater. I wonder if I should try. Let me just think. I'm just thinking a little quick what I could do. Just to be quick. Yeah, let me try this if this actually works first. And then, because I don't want to paint the other side. This doesn't work as nicely. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this section, duplicate it. Oops. So layer management can be better than this, but I'm just gonna do it really quick like this. And then colorize. Just doing some lighting on the craters themselves. Yeah.
So, Goro, are you thinking about spawn points already at this point?
Sometimes for this one, it's gonna be pretty easy, right? I'm gonna do like a 180, so that's why I'm not focused on the back as much, right? So if I want to do a 360, I might have to like add more details here. But here I was planning for like just a 180 for this one, and then I know that I will probably do something like this, probably another angle like this, and maybe one angle like this, right? So I do think roughly about like how I'm gonna shoot it, but it's not like I'm not thinking about it like in a final manner, if that makes sense.
Yep.
It's more like approximate, right? Like this is probably what I'm gonna do, and then if I change my mind, then I can still add more details if needed, right? Yeah. So this is looking good. I like it. So I'm gonna probably go over because I want to show a bunch more tricks today, but we're still half an hour in, so we're still way in the greens. But just so you know, it might go over a little bit. Okay, so I'm just gonna touch up this. The sun. It's good, and then maybe this one as well. You get the idea, right? I don't have to finish everything, so that's my goal, that you actually, get inspired. I'm not gonna finish it all, but this is looking pretty good. It has like a good amount of detail, and then now I can see that this ground needs to be a little bit brighter, just so it matches with the rest, and then I can do shadows. Yeah, I can do the shadows separately. Just checking where the sun is. And this is gonna be super trashy, but just to sell the idea. And then this needs to be, of course, brighter. This too, actually. We need to be a little bit brighter on the ground. So let me just select this. Yeah, it's better. Yeah, that looks more cohesive. Then the shadows start to read better too, right? So that's that. Just make this one brighter too. Doesn't need to be perfect for this one. All right, so now I did the particles. Let me just animate. What do I do next? Let me animate the characters. So I did like this rough character here, and I'm gonna use this guy as a rough rig, right? So that's where I show how to start with a rough rig, and then do more detailed stuff after. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take him. I like his proportions. I'm gonna put him in a new layer. So I'm gonna create a new folder and hit new. Now he is in a new folder, right? I'm gonna call this like guy or alien guy, whatever. And then I'm going to select just the top body and call this group torso. And then I'm gonna select just the head and call this head. So what I'm doing is I'm selecting it, creating a new layer, but before I do that, I create a new group, right? So that way, for example, I select this, create a new folder, hit new, and then I have the arm in this folder already. That's like a really quick method to do it. L arm, and then we have select this, and this will be the lower arm or the forearm, right? The right arm, I'm not going to worry about too much because I'm going to animate it with a grab tool. The torso was probably also like unnecessary because I'm not going to animate the torso. But let me see what's going on here. Yeah, okay. So I didn't have to like separate the torso, but the head, I'm going to put the pivot here. That looks good. And then the left arm, I want to puppeteer. So I want to basically put the joint here. This is good. And then put the forearm joint. I always do reset transformation. Then where's the forearm joint? Is there something in there? Oh, I didn't separate it. So, okay, now, boom. Now I have the forearm joint reset, and then there we go. He doesn't have hands, so might as well give him hands. I create a new folder, call it wrist. And then let me just give him some hands. This is enough. Okay, and then I'm gonna put the wrist control here, right? All right. Now when I turn on the group here, auto select group, and turn off the translate, what I can do is like I can animate the character just by grabbing the limbs, right? So this is like super, super useful. And I can basically, at this point, I could animate the head. And this is where I can show you how you can animate first with a rough rig. And then afterwards, you adjust it. So I told you guys I wanted to do a 2-second loop. So I'm going to go to 2 seconds and hit sequence and loop it. So this is my guy, right? My guy is holding the leash. I want this arm to stay still, so I'm not going to move the torso, but I can still put the pivot in the right point, so you can see what it does when it's in the right point. So you can move him like this, right, and move the head like this. So this is really cool, but I need this to be connected to the hand. And a quick way to do this is to keep everything together on the grab tool. So there's many ways to do this. You can use Tyler's technique to maybe animate a spawn area to keep it attached to the hand, but that takes too much time for me right now. So I'm gonna do the quick and dirty version of this, right? Just like I said, it's ways to do this, but it's definitely not the only way to do things. So I have to also add the hand here. Make sure this is good enough, and then let me just select it and make him hold the leash like this. All right, so now I go back to auto select group, and then I'm gonna start animating the guy, and then within 2 seconds. To do that, what I usually do is I match the first and last frame of the animation, right? So what I can do is I select keys in all children, create keys in all children, and do another key here and put it at the end, right? Now what it did is it keyed everything, and because I have select keys in all children on, I can actually select all of them. If this is off, you can only select the top. But this is really important that you always move this. So now I know that the start keyframe and the end keyframe match, right? So now when I turn on record and then I animate the head, he's looking around, right? Then I can say that the first and last frame match. So now I moved it a little bit too much. I don't want him to be that crazy. So I will be like, what? Okay, and then I will select all the keyframes here and put them on linear. They're actually on linear. Let me see. Okay, let me do this again. Okay, 1, 2. Am I moving? Something is not working. Let me see. It is working, I think. It just jumps. Oh, I accidentally deleted the last frame. Okay, sorry guys, let me do that again. So I'm just gonna do, I don't know why I did that. So keyframe here, move it, and now I'm gonna do. Just puppeteering. Yeah, this is good enough. You get the idea. And then I actually don't like that pop, so let me fix that again. Yeah, now it's better. Yeah, this looks like a seamless loop now, right? And now I do the same thing for the arms, so I'm just gonna do wrist moves a little bit, arm moves a little bit, and this arm moves a little bit. So this is like an idle animation, right? So he's like moving. Let me just lock the background layers here. So this looks really cool already, right? And then I can now worry about the design. And maybe I will animate him once like this, and then I will just duplicate him over. So let me just work on his design. So now what I can do to answer the question, now I can worry about working on like an actual design, right? So let's say I want this as a foundation. Oops. I want this as a foundation. And then work on some details here. Okay, this is his eye. Maybe his eye will be a little bit more red because it's reflecting the environment. And then I'm just gonna do his eyeball. I'm just gonna be like super brutal here. Push this down and then use this as an eyelid. And maybe I make the eyelid a little bit darker. And then I will do like an eye here. Maybe he's a one-eyed alien. I like one-eyed aliens. And then maybe he has a tentacle. No, I actually did one last time that looks exactly the same. So this one will look different. So let me do something like this. And maybe he has a fun little jaw. I made one with an overbite, and maybe this one he has underbite, and maybe this one has an overbite. Let's see what that looks like. So, and then give him some teeth. That's pretty cool. And then I'm gonna add the lighting, right? So yeah, I think that's good. Duplicate it, and then do like maybe we can dodge it. Let's see. Yeah, that looks good enough. And then what I can do is I hide this head and I put this head on top. And because it's in that group folder, you know, the animation stays alive, which is really cool, right? So now I can get rid of that reference layer here. And then maybe he has a spacesuit on. So let me give him a spacesuit or something. Oops. And then I can duplicate this, and the shadow side might be a little bit like warm colored. Something like this. And then maybe his spacesuit, he has shorts on. You can see that I animated accidentally the volcano in the background. I have to fix that, but that's funny. Something moved. Let me see. And there's this, I think I animated the background accidentally. Is it this, the craters? Let me see. Yeah, here. I should just remove these keyframes. Remove all the keyframes, and then yeah, that's it. Okay, now I have this character here, and then go back. That was funny. You know, when you keep recording on, that stuff can happen, so you know you have to be careful always. This arm, I want to move it. So if you want to move it after you animated it, easy thing, you go to a frame where there's no keyframe, and then you can still move it. And then the animation stays alive. And then you can just move the things into position where you like. So I'm going to duplicate this and do the lighting on him as well. All right. And then do the lighting on him as well. And then just go a little bit brighter here. And maybe some subsurface scattering. There we go. Maybe that's a little bit too strong on the arm. Just a little bit on the fingers. That's good. Okay, let me do like a little, you know, logo. Maybe he has an alien teddy bear logo or something like that, you know. whatever it is, alien Mickey Mouse with one eye. Are you guys still there? Or am I talking to myself?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Good. Okay, alien Mickey
Just
Mouse.
eating an apple.
Nice. Okay, and there we go. Good enough, like a little decal. Can I bend it? Bend it. Perfect. Okay, so there we go with our alien. Let me fix that underbite a little. And then the teeth can have a sharp highlight on the left. All right, so this looks like pretty dimensional now. Pretty cool. Legs need highlights, so let me just add highlights here. And then he doesn't need feet. And then for the head, I might want to have a slight gradient from top to bottom. A little bit darker here. Select it. And this one also, I want to just select this side of the stroke. Let me get closer. That's good. And then make a smoother transition here so you don't see that. Yeah, that's good. All right, so this is pretty cool. Eyes are working. This is all good. I'm gonna save it, and we have the animation of the alien already, right? So let's just duplicate the guy, and then mirror him in Z. So flip in Z. So that way I can just easily move him over. So let me just remove the sketch here. Okay, this is good. This is the alien guy. And then I might want to use the other hand. For him, it's the right hand. So let me see if I can just quickly do this. Yeah, so I want to, let me see how I can do this. Yeah, maybe I will just remove the highlight really quick and move it over here, create a new layer, and flip it in Z. We use just this arm. And then the other arm, I flip it in Z, move it over. Oops. Yeah, I have to flip it in Z when on a frame where there's no keyframe, right? Flip it in Z and then move it, because then it just maintains the. There's something broken here. You know what I can do here a little quick? I'm actually not sure what's going on. I can just delete the keyframes and redo that, right? Redo that arm. While I should have done that from the get-go, but anyway, you get the idea. So now I'm just going to colorize it. Why isn't it colorizing? And there we go. And add the lighting here. This is the hand that's holding the leash. Okay, we're almost at the hour mark. And I'm gonna start animating soon, so we should be pretty good in time. And then I'm going to select this by group and animate let me just delete the highlights. This is like really rough, but I mean, that's what you do in Freestyle, right? So let me just quickly duplicate this again, and then quick and dirty color dodge, boom, there we go. Okay, and then I will reanimate the arm. So I will set a keyframe there, set a keyframe there for the arm, and then just animate the wrist a little bit. Oops. Animate the wrist for 2 seconds. Of course, I had to hit record, animate the wrist. animate the wrist, and animate the wrist up and down. There we go. Yeah, okay. And then I might want to move the arm lower, something like this. Okay. And then also the head movement, I don't want the same head movements. I'm just going to do the same thing for the head. So I delete it, keyframe there, select all, move it over, and then, oops, record. So his head movement will be different. So that way, like you make sure that it's like not the exact same alien, they're like both looking at each other, and maybe this guy has two eyes. So let me do this. And maybe he has one antenna. And maybe he has an overbite. Underbite, I mean. I remove this. Don't need this anymore. And then this is how quickly you can change the appearance from one to another. And let me fix the lighting a little quick here. Come on. Okay, there we go. And then I might duplicate this because the inside I want to be dark. So I just light the outside. And then maybe this guy is a different color. So I'm just going to select all the green areas and do a quick and dirty hue pass. He's blue. There we go. The eyes, however, I want them to be not blue. Okay, and then duplicate them, move them ever so slightly, and add the highlight. Come on. Move them, highlight. Move them, highlight. Okay. This is good enough. All right, same thing here. I think this highlight can be a little bit brighter. And maybe the overall eye could be a little bit brighter as well. Yeah, that's good. Same thing here, just slight color adjustment. There we go. Okay, now we have the two aliens twitching around, right, in 2 seconds. And now I can work on, let me check the sketch. We're not even at the hour mark. Okay, that's good. Let me see where I put the sketch here. So I wanted to animate like this little alien bird. So let's do that first. Oh, the alien dogs first. Let's go with the dogs first, huh? So those are, or critters. Whatever that is, right? Like, this is gonna be fun. So they will be maybe like yellow color, green. So let me just do this. Turn on the wireframe. Maybe just make it thicker here. Maybe just do something like this. Just making them a little bit weird looking. And then I will have one leg. And then, it's always good to use like the thick and thin tool to just add a little bit of difference and little bit of variation in the shapes. So something like this. And then maybe the eyes. Can I borrow this eye? And just like super scrappy now. I'm just gonna borrow this eye. And then the dogs, I'm not gonna bother about the lighting because they're gonna be running around and hopefully it just looks okay, even if they're lit differently. So I will just lower the contrast here. Oops. Just like this. Maybe make it a little bit brighter. Okay, and then we have the tail. And then I'm gonna start reading, right? So this is the leg. I'm gonna create a new folder, put the leg in there, create a new folder, put the lower leg in there. So we have this joint that moves this. And then we will have this joint that moves this. This is good. And then this is the leg. The eyes, I'm just going to keep the way they are. Maybe the tail I want to animate as well. So I'm just going to create a new folder, put the pivot of the tail in here. That's good. And then let me just call that like the first dog 1. So oops, what's going on? Is that? Let me see what happened. Oh, I'm just putting the tail in there. Okay, I have to put the whole body in there. That's why layer management is important, right? So this is my first dog here. So he's gonna be running around. What did we say? 2 seconds, right? So we're gonna do 2 seconds for a full run cycle. Let me just do this, and then up and down, up, up, and then just do the 2 seconds, and then I want this to be like a bounce, and then it slows down at the top, bounce again, slows down at the top. So now I have a run like this. But what I want to do is it needs to be like, actually I want the run cycle to be a 12 frame cycle. So what I'm gonna do is I put this at 3 frame free, right? Oh, 0.3 seconds. And then I have a 12 frame cycle here. So now I set this to loop. It looks good. Okay, this is a good rhythm, right? And now I can just animate the legs. So he's down here. So I want to do this. Animate it like this. You know, I need to duplicate the legs first, actually. So let's do that first. Before I animate the legs, I just want to make sure we have the hind legs, another front leg, and one more hind leg. Right? So now I can animate them all separately, which is going to be good. And this is also good. Okay, so now I can go to each limb and basically let me create a legs layer. So this is going to be my legs group. Legs, because then I can keyframe everything, right? Legs. And then let me put them into position first. Oops. Oh no. Oh no. What happened? I think I forgot. Let me see. To set the pivots. So this is the correct pivot. This is correct. This is not correct. Okay, let me just do that again. I think this pivot I didn't set correctly for some reason. I actually undid it or something. Okay, now I'm gonna duplicate it again. Over here, over here. I don't have to be like crazy exact. Let me see if this is looking all right. This looks good. And then this front leg goes like this. Okay, let's try that again. So now I pose it by auto-selecting group, turn off translate. So this is like when the legs come together. And, you know, those are alien dogs. So I'm not like gonna be super anal about how they run. It's just gonna work. And then I'm gonna create a key in all children here, key in all children there, and key in all children here again. So now I have always like the pointing legs at each first frame, 6 frames, and 12 frames, right? Now I go to the third frame and I adjust the legs. So maybe they're like a little bit different, but something like this, right? And of course, you should hit record. So do that again, because otherwise you alter the pose in general. And then it comes back and you do this again. And I don't copy the keys, so it looks a little bit different every time. So now, yeah, like this dog running around like that. Okay, this is pretty cool. And then the tail, I'm gonna do the same. So for the tail, I'm just gonna set a keyframe here, set a keyframe here, and then set a keyframe here, and then up, maybe up, and maybe I will shift it a little bit. Okay, this is good enough, right? Now I have this animated dog, and what I'm gonna do is I'm going to scale it down and make sure they're parallel to the ground and parallel to the leash. So let me just make sure. Where's the grid? Let me see the grid. Yeah, I want it to be aligned to the grid. And then I'm just going to duplicate this dog. Maybe they're smaller. Make them a little bit smaller. So they're on the same axis, right? And now they're like, of course I had, okay. Let me undo this. Okay, there we go. Is it working? No, I did something still wrong. Okay, there we go. Okay, sorry guys, I did, let me just create a new group here. So I want to just, I accidentally manipulated the keys, so I don't want to do that. So again, this is an extra group. This doesn't have keys in it, and that's good. And I duplicate it, rotate it like this. And now I have two dogs, right? So actually, let me think. Before I duplicate, I think I'm going to bake it. So this one, it's a loop, right? It's a 12 frame loop. So I'm going to, let me think it's the right thing to do. Yeah, I think it is. So I'm just gonna create a sequence and loop it and bake it. So now I have the baked creature, right? So now he's like running. And now I can even add some squash and stretch to it. So let me just go here. A little bit more live, it doesn't matter. And then I will just reset transform, move him here, duplicate him, rotate him, and maybe I will select it on all frames. Oops. Select in all frames and do like a different color. So I'm just gonna do that through a hue shift. Slightly different color. So let me turn off the wireframe. Okay, this is good enough. Okay, I might actually want to add some sort of shadow here. So I just duplicate the whole thing, and then it's the other way around. Oops, let me just grab the whole body. You know, like I will do it like this. Just quick and dirty, it doesn't matter. Just to see a little bit of structure. Because I have to be quick now. You know, I'm not too worried about the poly count and stuff like that. Okay, so now what I can do is I can offset it, right? Offset the jumps so it doesn't look like it's the same. Of course, this is the same, like that. Okay, now they're nicely offset. So this is good. And now I can merge them, and then they would be like on the same layer, right? Okay, let me bring that down a little. Maybe I make them a little bit smaller. And then I have them like this, running like this. And also make sure that they're like running on the same plane. So let me just create a marker here. And bring that down a little. Okay, so I know now that I have to change the background, the foreground, I mean, and bring it down a little. Let me turn on the wireframe. And then I will just even it out. So it's like approximately the same height as everything else. Yeah, this is going to work, I think. Okay, now I have the critters, and now I have the knot here, right? So what I'm gonna do now is going back to the sketch. I don't need the sketch anymore, so I'm gonna hide the sketch. And in the critters layer, which is going to rotate, so I don't have to like loop it actually, I'm gonna draw the leash. So the leash, maybe it's a glowing leash. Let me see what that looks like. This is the knot. And then we have this and this. And then these go over to them. These go over to them. So I will just quickly do this. Okay, this is looking good. I think it's better when they're just black, so they don't attract too much attention. So we're at a little bit over the hour. I'm gonna be almost done. I have to then, after this, I wanna do like a flying little creature, but I think it shouldn't take too long. We have the particles, we have the rig animation, and we will have the dogs. I think the dogs are a little bit small, so let me just make them a little bit bigger. Little bit bigger. And then obviously I'm just gonna, where's my marker? Let me bring down the, okay, there's my marker. What am I doing? I want to actually bring down that marker so I can see where they're touching the ground. And almost didn't change. Oops. No, it did change. Yeah, okay, so there's the marker. And now let me just adjust the foreground again to the marker. I'm just gonna bring this down overall. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a 1, 2 rotations, right? Two 2-second rotation. So what I'm gonna do is I don't want to move this leash. So because these create the illusion that they're holding the leash. So this is going to be outside of the critters layer. So now what I can do is to recenter, to use the center of the leash as a rotation pivot. You guys are still there, right? Just
Yes.
checking. Okay. Just watching carefully without saying anything. All right.
Taking
Okay.
notes.
Cool. So now I'm going to create a keyframe here, create a keyframe at the end so it matches, right? And then I will basically say at 12 frames, I'm going to rotate 3 times. At 1 second, 3 times. And at 1/12, 3 times. And then I set all the keys to linear. And now we have the dogs running around like this, right? So this is pretty cool. And then you can also put like a shadow underneath them, right? So let me just do like a little shadow here. Pick the color here, and let me do like a little something like this. Doesn't need to be perfect, and then it's like a 12 frame cycle, right? So I'm just gonna do this. Okay, and then I will just put that back into the folder, shadow, and put it, this is the critter, put it one here, and one there. So let me just rotate it. And maybe this one I will just shorten like this. And then I have like the shadows, right? So pretty quick and dirty way to do it. So now I have this. Now I want the leash feel like a leash, right? So I think the knot shouldn't rotate because they're building the knot, right? So I'm just gonna separate the knot and put it together with the leash. So now it looks better, right? So now I need to animate the leash as well, which is like this thing here. So what I'm going to do is like I do a 12 frame cycle as well here, just like the critters, and animate it with a grab tool. Or nudge tool. Let me try to nudge. Grab tool might look better. Let's see. I might actually remove the rotation really quick, so let me just get out of there. This leash. And then do like a little up and down movement here. Up and down movement here. And then put it into the folder, right? So now it looks like they're manipulating it. And then what I can do now is basically I will bake everything. So including the aliens, right? Because now I have like this whole animation. But before I do that, I'm wondering if I should do the leash as well. So let me just do a 12 frame cycle here. 12 frames, and then just wiggle this a little bit. Yeah, that looks pretty cool. So now I have this, and maybe this one is actually like swinging around. And that's what I can add next as a layer. So I save it here, and the characters, I'm just going to bake them all now, right? So now I have the characters all baked, and oops, there's another dog that came from nowhere. Let me see where that guy came from. What? So I want to remove the sketch, but I think there's a hidden dog somewhere. Oh, this one. Yeah, I don't need this guy anymore. Okay, let me just bake it. There we go. Okay, now we have the characters, and now because this is now a 2 second cycle instead of 12 frames, I have more leeway to move this, right? So I can just go 1, 2, 1, 2. Yeah, maybe I move it in a circle like this. This is pretty cool. And then I can move this arm in 2 seconds. Move this arm. And then I can move the whole thing, right? Like maybe more subtle. This is like a little bit difficult to match with the grab tool to prevent it to jump at the end. But for like Inktober stuff, it's very forgiving. Yeah, I don't want it to jump like crazy, but
I like how they all sort of look like they've been here before.
Totally. So it's like, yeah, it's same old, and totally. Let me just select in all frames, and let me see if I can adjust the eye.
They schedule these.
Yeah, they definitely do. Yeah, that's better. He's looking down now, and maybe he's looking down as well. He's like, oh my god. Oops. I have to make sure I grab all of the eyes. It's hard at this point, I think, to grab everything, but let me see if I can. Did I grab? No, it doesn't matter. It's that good enough. I can actually grab the whole head. Grab the whole head and then rotate it around. Yeah, this is working. Okay, so now we have the leash moving around. This is pretty cool. Maybe I can even make it a little bit more dynamic. Let's see. This is pretty cool, actually. Yeah, this is looking good. So now the last thing I want to do is we're 15 minutes over only. We have the landscape. So let me hide the, where's the sketch? Let me just find the notes layer here. Okay, I don't need the notes anymore. So I'm going to delete it. And this is looking good. Let me hide the grid. One last thing I want to do is like an alien flying bird or something, right? So let me just quickly adjust here a little bit of the contrast. I don't want it to be too contrasty here. This is looking good. Okay, I think I can make the Skydome a little bit more saturated. So let me just try to do an overlay. Let me see, more yellow or something. Just heat it up a little bit. Yeah, that looks much better. Okay, this is cool. All right, last thing, characters. I'm gonna have another character here. So it was like a little alien bird. So I'm gonna create a new bird layer. A sphere in there. Like that. And then I'm going to put this in a group. And then I'm also going to duplicate this and put that outside of the group. So this is going to be my ref. And then let me see if this works. This is just completely improvised right now. But basically, I can move this now, right? So I'm going to set a keyframe here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 seconds. So I want that thing to fly for 4 seconds. This is the rhythm sketch I would talk about, right? So it's like a 4-second long loop. And now I'm going to animate this guy for 4 seconds. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see if that worked. Okay, so let me see. I have to be better. So I can do this like without puppeteering, but I want that organic movement of my hand. I want to record it. So let me just try again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, this might work well. Let's see. Let's see what that looks like. Doesn't need to be perfect. Yeah, there's like a little hiccup there. So let me just try one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, let me see if this works. Is there like or maybe I didn't do the first frame and last frame. Sorry about that. So let me do that again. So there's multiple methods to do it. This is like one way. 2, 3, 4. Let me see. 1. Oh, of course, I need my reference. 1, 2, 3, 4. Come on. I need the time to see the timeline. So this is like a little bit of trial and error here. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think this was it. Let me see. Yeah, I think this is usable. I mean, you can also do that over rotation keyframes and stuff like that, but, for this, I think this is good enough. Yeah, this is good enough. You get the idea. There's like a little hiccup here somewhere. There. Let me just fix that. Just remove some keyframes. And then the beginning can also be faster. So. I'm just removing a few keyframes here. Let's see. I mean, this is good enough, right? Like, it's really, for me, it's important that you guys get the concept of what I'm doing, right? So this is going to be like a weird fly flying around. And all it is a sphere, right? So what I can do now is I can focus on the design of that thing. It's going to be a beautiful, super detailed fly. No, just kidding. But, it will be some sort of weird creature here. So, let me just quickly spit it out. Maybe this gun has like 3 eyes. Just like this. That's good. And then maybe he has wings. Let me do the wings. Something like this. And then make them a little bit brighter. Something like this. Okay. And then I'm just going to keyframe it. So maybe I will just do frame by frame. 1, 3. You know what? Let me actually do it via keyframes. So I'm just gonna do keyframe here. 2 forward. Oops. What's happening? Do I have something selected? I think so. Oh, there we go. Okay, so the wing was not separate. So let me separate the wing here and then animate it up and down. So keyframe here, keyframe here. Actually, on the 6th keyframe as well, and then here I'm gonna go down, and then I'm going to loop it. So now I have this, and this is good enough. Maybe the downwards flap is a little bit deeper like that, and then I'm just going to, I should be able to do this. Duplicate and then go a frame forward because I don't want to alter the keyframe. And then I'm just gonna mirror in Y and reposition it. Yeah. Okay, that didn't work. Never mind. Let me just do it from scratch. So here we go. Keyframe, keyframe, and keyframe. There we go. What? Didn't set a keyframe. So what am I doing? I'm not sure what I'm doing. Okay, this is okay. So this keyframe is actually, I have to copy it from here. Sorry guys, I'm a little bit confused right now, but that happens. I think this is good. Okay, now I can bake this guy. remove this, and I have the fly, the wings, and then I'm just gonna bake this as well. And then I don't need the reference anymore. And now I can put this fly. You know what? Maybe I make it like a little bit more of a 1 second loop. So let me just get him in here and make a 1 second loop out of this. Merge, bake. So now I have a 1 second loop. What that allows me to do is I can just add a little bit of motion to it, right? So it looks a little bit alive. So now I have a 1 second loop, and that loop I'm going to put into the 4 second loop, right? So the 4 second loop goes into that direction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate him into the right direction, right? And then I'm going to put it into the rotating group and place him where the ball is here. And what we have now is like we have a rhythm sketch, but the fly is flying into the same direction, right? Like so now, but I can now do rotate basically towards to compensate for the rotation. So can't speak and multitask at the same time. No, reset. Okay, let's see. So now I have the rotation here. So I will rotate, 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 and rotate. So I can probably just copy this, this first keyframe and paste it here. And then it should look somewhat okay. We'll see. And then I put this to linear. So now he's flying around. And then you can see that it's not perfect. So let me just turn off the onion skinning. And I want them to turn sooner. Because this is not a linear movement, right? Like what I did. So let me just adjust to it. This. I can go frame by frame. And you can, of course, rotate it over a pivot. I'm just showing different ways. Like because somebody asked, how would you do like the rhythm sketch? You know, you can have like a ball bouncing around like that first. And then, you know, and then you can replace it with something like this, right? So now he's like this. And now you can say like, okay, I want to actually, also on top of that, I want to rotate him in the right direction. So he's like banking. Like that. And then we copy the first frame to the last. So we're like not even an hour and a half in, right? So let's see. So now we have the fly, and it has like an organic movement, right? That's how you can do things. And then this is the bird, and let's call it fly. Right, and in theory, what you could do is now to bake the whole thing, right? Now you have, I think the fly had also like a old fly in there, the hidden fly, so I'm just gonna delete this, bake it. And now, you know, in theory, you could just duplicate it around, make it smaller. And obviously just reduce the, you know, turn off the recording. And then you can look at the entire trajectory to basically see where you want to put it, right? So I'm probably not behind us because we're not going to see him. So let's put it more towards here, and towards here. And then what we can do is to offset it in timing. Right, so it doesn't look the same. So now you have like a bunch of flies flying around. and then maybe one more fly over here. Do the same thing here, just offset it. And we need one more over here, just for the sake of balance. Yeah, I think this is looking good. And now what you can do is like just merging all the flies together. And let's see where we are with draw calls. I can actually share this without optimization right now, right? So there you can see how you can do stuff. I'm going to share this to VR later and do some spawn areas. For the spawn areas, I usually restrict camera locomotion for comfort to be like parallel to the ground. And then I'm just going to create some spawn areas. Maybe this is like a good angle here. Create one, take a screenshot, right? This is this angle. And then maybe this is like a cool angle here with the dogs close by. Create a spawn area, and then take a screenshot. That's good enough. And then, let me just remove the initial one here. And then here you can switch between the spawn areas. And there you have it. Like, I hope I was able to cover a lot of stuff here today. Any questions?
I don't think there's any in the text chat.
Cool.
I'm checking. I don't think there was any. Funi at one point was trying to watch in the subway. Apparently it didn't work, but he liked the Mickey Mouse shirt.
Oh, yeah. I actually didn't change it for the other one. But yeah, so particles. I covered the particles. I covered the rig animation. I covered the timing sketch for the fly here. I covered the rough rig to more detailed character, and then I covered how I did the leash trick here. So yeah, so this was the stream. Thanks for tuning in, and I would say see you next time. Bye, guys.